The Queen has continued her Diamond Jubilee tour by receiving the keys of the city of Perth. City status was granted to Perth as part of the Jubilee year celebrations. The Queen was given a warm celebration by the large crowds which turned out to welcome her. From Perth, Andrew Anderson reports.
Warming up the crowds for Perth's special visitors, the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh arrived a little late, but at the end of a busy week in Scotland, that can surely be forgiven. Having granted Perth city status as part of her Diamond Jubilee year, Her Majesty was presented with the key to the city. Then a few words on Perth's new status.
I would like to congratulate you all warmly on the restoration of city status. It is an accolade well earned.
And to the delight of the crowd, a royal walkabout. So a warm welcome for the Queen here in Perth. The crowd's anxious to thank her for restoring the right to call Perth a city. For the man who fought so hard for Perth to be a city again, it's been a big day.
The Queen's visit here has been a good omen, you know, when it was planned, because it was planned before we got city status. So I'm very pleased with the way things have worked out.
Then it was off to the Black Watch Museum before lunch at Scone Palace. Andrew Anderson, reporting Scotland, Perth.
Well, the Queen's engagements in Perth mark the end of the Scottish leg of the tour marking her Diamond Jubilee. Our social affairs correspondent Rival Alderson has been looking back at some of the many visits made in the early part of her 60-year reign.
The royal barge bringing the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh ashore to begin their tour of 3 countries.
It's 1961 and the Queen and Duke of Edinburgh arrive in the northeast. Ahead, a 180-mile journey with a score of official engagements along the Murray coast, all faithfully documented by a BBC crew.
From the fishing town, a gift of smoked haddock in a special box.
There were huge crowds in Whitehills, Fenechty, Cullen, Elgin and Nairn.
The bouquet at Nairn was presented by Catherine Watson.
Mrs. Watson has since died, but her husband remembers how the Queen coped with her schedule.
She got sitting down and was just easing her foot in her shoe. How nice to get my foot eased off. What a nice person, and despite all the formalities and worries and duties and grief she's come through, she's a very human person.
Outside Glasgow city chambers, an enormous crowd gathers to cheer Her Majesty on arrival.
Earlier, in 1953, so many people had thronged Glasgow city centre, 300 were hurt. When BBC Scotland showed archive footage of the event last month, Willie Buchan recognised his father as a police inspector struggling to keep the crowds from overwhelming the Queen as she inspected the Guard of Honour.
I think when you see my father and the other officers there, they literally saved the Queen that day. She would have been absolutely swamped by the Glasgow crowds. They just broke through everything to be near the Queen. I mean, there's no crash barriers, no real crowd control. It was more like an ad hoc situation.
It was the end of the Queen's long official day, more than 8 hours since she had come ashore at Macduff.
Even after 60 years of the Queen visiting Scotland, there'll be many more people who've enjoyed their encounter with her this week. Rival Alderson, reporting Scotland.
60 years later, it's still raining.